It's called the saddest Sunday in America. The first of 6 months with no football. For millions of fans, it means they'll stop watching sports altogether. For thousands of players who missed their shot, the dream of playing slips farther away. Football is like America. Both are built on opportunity, hard work, and innovation. As a sport and a nation, we root for the believers, the long shots, the early risers, and the never quitters, the ones who invent the future. We never know where greatness will come from, but we know it always starts with the same question. What if? What if football didn't have to end in February? What if players who missed the big show by a fraction of a second or a tenth of an inch finally got a second chance to change football forever? What if we brought football into the 21st century? What if we didn't have to say, what if? In February of 2019, some of the most respected minds in the history of the game will come together to form the Alliance of American Football.
I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational.
You can do it!
But that just wouldn't be our style.
Welcome to Project Reclamation, where you rebuild, re-energize, and reclaim your life. What's up, buddy?
Yo.
What's going on, man?
Bro, I came back from this
What did you do last night?
inaugural AAF quarterback draft selection. You know, I'm gonna
Okay,
be honest.
well, hold on.
Yep.
Because I've mentioned this to a few people.
Go on.
Nobody knows what the AAF is.
Nobody
So
knows what the AAF is. In
I'm
fact,
super excited. Anybody who's listened to older episodes, you know my stance on football. I grew up with football. I played football for like
played that
a dozen
football.
years. Loved football.
Number 59 in Dos Pueblos
That is
Chargers
true.
high
That is
school
true.
history.
And
I don't remember
then
JB's number. I don't remember JB's number. 70 something.
72 maybe?
72. I thought
think
Ian
so.
White was like 77 or something like
I
that.
don't remember.
And then
72,
Jables was like
73,
72.
74, something like that.
We'll ask him.
We'll have to ask him.
My number would have been 14. Should I have played?
That
Or
would make you a quarterback
or
running
potentially a kicker.
or a kicker.
Yeah.
Honestly, a kicker can wear whatever the fuck number
Yeah,
they want.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, anybody can wear whatever
Or
number
wide
they
receiver.
want, but
I got skills.
a wide receiver could wear 14.
though
Not
I
normal, but it would work.
Not normal for high school, I guess, at that point.
Well, high school, I don't think it
14 could have been any number. I obviously
The
could
only
have
thing
been.
would be like if you were like a linebacker or a lineman, 14 would be weird. If you were a tight end, 14 would be
Well,
weird. But
one-
you're not really qualified genetically to play any of those positions.
in my 145-pound frame, if I was pushing around some big O lineman or D lineman, depending on which side of the ball I was on, I think anyone would give me any number and they'd be like, that's just 1'6" son of a bitch. Okay? He's 5'6", 145. Those are my stats.
5'6", 100 nothing.
I don't even know, man. I was recruited by all the top schools. You know, Pepperdine, Gonzaga University, Laverne. That's right. ITT
Wesleyan.
Tech, the University of Phoenix. You know, online. I was recruited by all those top programs,
Their
bro.
football program is just fantasy football.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Because in that fantasy world I was living in, bro, I went for I went for 300 yards a game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but no.
So the AAF.
Yes.
So what is it?
So it's apparently, and this is just kind of like, I didn't know this. I thought it was just springtime football in replace of or in similar to the USFL back in the day, which I was never alive
I don't even
for.
know what the USFL is.
It's like it was like basically springtime football that was supposed to rival back in the day the NFL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But this is apparently the AAF, which is the Alliance of American Football, and apparently it's supposed to be either a developmental league for football players, but also I think it could be like a developmental league because some of these guys are not necessarily in their developmental stages. Like one of these cats is like 32 or something like that, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I think maybe even if it was set up as like a developmental league, they could, anybody who maybe isn't getting their play time in the NFL or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to say no to a a quarterback
on their
who
table,
has
or-
been, second string on a bunch of badass teams to like really badass quarterbacks.
True that.
Like, let's say some dude went from, the Patriots where he was backing up Tom Brady to, the Packers where he's backing up Aaron Rodgers, and then to somewhere else where, maybe the dude is good.
Yeah. But he just can't get space because there's only fucking 30
if Joe Montana had never, if the 49ers hadn't got rid of Joe Montana, they, what's his name, may have never started.
Steve Young was a backup too at that point because he had played for the Bucs at some given point, and he just wasn't feeling. I mean, he just wasn't being sought out. But honestly, this is supposed to be, or it was advertised as, on some level, a developmental league for football players. But here's the biggest deal, though, in the whole wide world. Beyond it being a developmental league, and AF, if you're listening, I just want to tell you thank you very much. Because honestly, I've known San Diego to be a great community. I moved here because I wanted to always be down here. I've always wanted to be down here. I've loved the San Diego area ever since I was growing up in Santa Barbara, just hours north, about 400 miles north. And it's just like it's always a place I wanted to go. But ever since I've been here, you have a lot of like social depression, meaning that when the Chargers had left, you had this big vacuum of civic pride that just went along with it. Not like people that were proud of San Diego, but they're like, how could you do this to us, Spanos? How could you do this to us, Chargers? It's like you had this loyal fan base, and then all of a sudden, you just like said goodbye to a community, and that sucks. Like I can only imagine, like I said, what St. Louis must have felt like, or even what Cleveland felt like originally, or even what Baltimore felt like originally, or even what Houston felt like originally. However, those last three teams I should mention, they got replacement teams, which I think may have been better. But honestly, I just like for a team to come in here, like a professional sports organization, and invest in the community. That's cool to me. That's cool because that lets me get some civic pride back. And if as of last night when I went down to this Barley Mash event, boy, I'm telling you, people are thirsty for fucking football, man. People are like savage. People are ravaged for football.
I think people. I don't know. Me personally, I like the idea of a football team in San Diego without all of the. Let's be honest. There's a lot of politics and bullshit in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
and that's the other. That's like, honestly, for me, it was kind of the culmination of the politics, the bullshit, and
the negative press.
Leaving. Exactly, the negative press and all this like, whoa, blah blah blah. Like and like, I mean, I'll be honest. I called my dad and I was telling him about this AF thing. He goes, the only question he has, he goes, well, are they going to kneel during the national anthem? I was like, I don't know, Dad. Probably not. Maybe. I don't fucking know. But yeah, just and not that I give a shit if you stand or kneel during the national anthem, whatever. But just keep your goddamn politics out of like if you're a player, if you're what's his name, fucking Nick.
You're talking about Kaepernick, yeah.
Is his name Nick? No.
Colin.
Whatever. Yeah. Hey, Colin, I forgot your fucking name because you're a piece of shit. Sorry, dude. If you want to use your platform and go talk about stuff, that's awesome. Go do it. Go on news shows. Go do this. Go do that. But for the 3 hours that I want to sit down on a Sunday and watch a fucking NFL game, leave it out.
You just want to,
just want to enjoy the game.
You come from that perspective of like you want to enjoy the game that way, and I can respect that because that's the way you want to watch football. I say like if someone has a platform, that's great, and if he worked hard, like Colin Kaepernick has worked hard to get to that level,
sure.
And if he wants to take a knee because he's trying to express or like his I guess racial issues in America, then that's more than his God-given right. That's what fortunately some of the many men and women who fought for this country have protected, right? Is that given right? Now, what I get tired of is tired of like the abuse, like right, someone like a guy, and then recently in the news, I think even today, there's two people that like were known for domestic violence charges again, and I'm like, yo, that's what I get tired of because I'm just like, hey,
dude, me too.
Hey, I don't care what sport you play, really. Even like in hockey, there's almost this like unwritten kind of like gentleman's code, like that oh shoot, that guy did something domestic violence related. He's not part of my ball club, or he's not part of my hockey club. Get out of here.
And maybe there's a level of self-policing that needs to be brought back to the NFL.
No, and I think it's just you're right.
Think about like even big prison, like the worst people in the world are in prison, right?
Correct.
Not all of them are the worst. Not all of them in prison are the worst people, but the worst of the worst are in prison.
Supposedly, yes.
However, and all of my knowledge of prison is being pulled from like TV shows and movies and stuff like that. Dude, I don't know. But, the people who prey on like women and children and that kind of stuff, like the ones with the zero honor crimes, those guys get their
comeuppance.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Like the dude who, dealt a bunch of drugs and murdered 170 people or whatever. Like
he certainly gets his.
He sees the guy who like molested children, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah, and there's
because I got a daughter.
There's that self-policing thing that you're talking about. And I will tell you, like, this is the hardest thing because, like, you want to know the NFL. Like, I always thought this, and I had a conversation with my parents today at breakfast, and I was like saying, hey, everything, when it gets to be too big, it gets to be just too big. And you know what? At some given point, some mighty giants get taken down. Like we were talking about Amazon Prime and like how I love Amazon Prime. I live on Amazon Prime. My God. But at some given point, they're going to make a mistake. Or at some given point, they're just going to get too big. And at that point, people are just going to start attacking them and be like, okay. Not. I mean, look at Facebook. Facebook was like unstoppable. It was an unstoppable giant until, guess what? I mean, obviously, it's linked to some political this or that or the other thing.
Yeah, but the difference is Zuckerberg versus Bezos.
Bezos is unstoppable.
Also, Bezos is a guy who he comes from. I don't want to drag this back into politics, but he's a very, very libertarian individual, from what I understand.
Okay.
So he's all about the freedom of the people, small government. Whereas Zuckerberg, he's off talking to Congress and stuff, and I don't know much about him either. So this is all speculation. But he Bezos has a very strong stance on things, and he doesn't waver from it.
Sure.
It is what it is.
I just think like at some given point the NFL was just so big and it got so big, the fact that they were just doing everything for money plays. I mean that's why the Raiders are going to Vegas. I mean, dude, you see like some teams that are absolutely just being, some cities that are actually being like, I don't know, there's a lot of social I guess social characteristics or social like flow that's like invested in a team, and
absolutely,
when that goes, well, what do? You can't replace it. It's not like overnight. No, like it takes I mean, look, it took generations. It took 2 generations for the Chargers to be really, really invested in this community. They were here since 1967 or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, you have generations of people that are in love with this place or in love with that team, and then they just was like, all right, cool, we're gonna go for more money, and they can't even fill that stadium anymore. So it's just like, well, what are you gonna do, man? But the one thing I'll say is that it's
kind of like it goes. Sorry, I cut you off, but it goes back to my whole companies that don't care about their employees.
Yeah.
It's like, the NFL at some point, and I don't know what's happened yet except for just angry people, but if at some point, if they keep not giving a shit what happens to the cities that they like devastate, I feel like that's going to bite them in the ass at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is what's kind of a little bit, unless I'm wrong, unless this is in conjunction with the NFL, I think this springtime football league will see kind of like a little bit of a more fan-friendly, family-friendly
dude, I agree.
kind of atmosphere where you're like, you like football for football's sake. You don't like football for all these. I want all the crazy antics and I want the drama. Okay, there's football for that.
It's just football.
And dude, but you want to
so check this out. So I looked up their website and just the main About Us page.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna read this real quick. Alliance of American Football, right?
Yep.
AAF. Okay. So there's
I don't love the name, by the way, but that's okay. The NFL probably grow.
Alliance of American Football sounds kind of badass. I think alliance is kind of a real strong word.
Yeah, you like that because it's a loaded word. Yeah.
It's a very loaded word.
Yeah.
But AAF definitely doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
It's kind of weird, but you know what? Who cares?
Dude, I'm sure they're gonna change around.
So here we go. Led by some of the most respected football minds in the
game. That, by the way.
The Alliance of American Football is high-quality professional football fueled by a dynamic alliance between players, fans, and the game. Fans will be able to stream Alliance matchups live via the free Alliance app while accessing integrated fantasy options with real rewards for themselves and the players they are cheering on. Players will have state-of-the-art protection on the field and ample opportunities off it. The Alliance will provide players a comprehensive bonus system, post-football career planning, as well as counseling and scholarship support for post-secondary education.
Look at that.
Founded by TV film producer Charlie Ebersol.
Dick Ebersol's son. Dick Ebersol was the one. He was an initial NFL films, I guess CBS Sports kind of yeah.
All right. And Hall of Famer Bill Polian. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, he's the Indianapolis Colts GM mastermind.
All right.
Yeah.
The Alliance features 8 teams under a single entity structure, playing a 12-week season, kicking off February 9th, 2019 on CBS, and culminating with the championship game the weekend of April 26th to 28th, 2019.
Mark it on your calendars, April 26th.
So, this is one simple paragraph, and I fucking love everything in it.
Dude, they take care of...
They're taking all of the
bullshit that you didn't like from the NFL.
The bullshit I didn't like from the NFL, but also they're taking all the potholes that a lot of players fall into in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like financial planning, opportunities, all this stuff. It looks like they're actually integrating fantasy. They're like a fantasy football for that league.
Yeah.
It sounds like the players get rewards.
Yeah.
And bonuses based on their stats.
Yeah.
Which is fucking awesome.
Which is kind of an incentive-based pay, so it makes you play better, right?
And it's random. I was listening to an old-ass Sofa King episode where they were talking about fantasy football because they had one of their buddies was making kind of like if Magic the Gathering card game
had
a baby with fantasy football. So it's like a fantasy football board game or card game. It's like almost like Monopoly, but with fantasy football instead of like real estate.
All right.
So I don't know the details, but they were talking about, and this is an old episode, so I think it was probably like 2015, 16.
Gotcha.
And they were saying that fantasy football is back then a $4 billion industry.
Oh, dude.
And now I'm sure it's even more.
It's
so for them to just go ahead and integrate it, that's kind of badass.
One of the things that too, and then I know I can always talk about sports because that's just like one of the things I'm most interested in. But like I will tell you this much, one of the things that like I loved NBA basketball for a long time in the early '90s and the late '90s and early 2000s. But then there got to be a point after like maybe early 2000s that I just stopped watching it. It either became too much street ball or it became one-on-one isolation matchups. You didn't have like the team integrated play game like you did with the Lakers back in the day, and it was just like, all right, or the Celtics, and then you like even the Bulls, like as Michael Jordan kind of transitioned into like the superstar player, but you still had Scottie, you still had Dennis, you still had like Bill Laimbeer, you still had, not Bill Laimbeer, Luke Longley, but you still had like everybody else that kind of just
John Stockton, and you could even go into what's his name from the Spurs,
Tim Duncan, and also Dave Robinson. I mean,
David Robinson was on the thing.
Twin Towers right there, but now it's like more like you have one single player. But now, I mean, look at the I know everyone's gonna go, oh, Steve, what the hell are you talking about? Look at the Golden State Warriors. Correct, Golden State Warriors are like kind of bringing me back in because it's more of a team-based concept, and it's like that's the whole deal. But I would have loved for there to have been back in the early 2000s to maybe even middle 2010s mark. You know what I mean? Like I would have loved for there to have been like an alternative league so that I could just like be like, dude, I love basketball. I'll always love basketball. I'll always love football. But I want it to stay. I want to get away from like it's very, very heavy right now. It's just so not political, but it was just so. I just needed something different. I need a different look at the same game.
Competition is healthy for business. I mean,
absolutely.
There's no denying it. Like,
and it's not like you're taking up the same market share because you're on an opposite. You know, you're on an opposite.
But even if you are, I mean,
schedule.
that's kind of it's healthy for a brand or a business to have competition because it forces them to produce a better product.
It's true.
At a better value for the people.
True.
I mean, if the NFL or the NBA, I don't know what a ticket to an NBA game costs nowadays, but I know to go to an NFL game, like you're paying at least $100 a ticket.
Dude, that's at least $100 a ticket, and you're sitting at the top, by the way.
Yeah, and that's
you're not
just
sitting
for a
in
shitty seat. That doesn't include parking, doesn't include food, doesn't include everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, for that same, like I could take if I was going to take my family to a game, I could take my family to Disneyland for the same cost.
Disneyland is kind of expensive too, but you're
right.
No,
Disneyland's way expensive.
You're right,
but Disneyland has competition, so they certainly produced a good product that they had to compete with other entities for.
No, for sure.
So I think I think there's a monopoly in all the professional sports, and I don't think it's healthy for the development because they can do whatever the fuck they want. They can charge whatever they want. They can do anything.
Yeah, I just think it's so nice.
I mean, look at boxing and UFC.
Yeah,
the UFC. I mean, it's destroyed a lot of boxing. Let's be honest, but yeah. I think that's a good thing because boxing was so.
Boxing was like, hey man, we got this big match. You want to see the two best fighters? I mean, the most perfect example for me in the most recent times was Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, right?
Yeah, and it took them like 5 years to put that fight together.
No, it took them like 10. And by the time they got together, they were so old, and just their boxing skills was not there. And you were like, okay, well, what am I watching here? Exactly. I'm watching one person destroy the other person. And not only that, Manny Pacquiao hasn't even come back on like even national scale after that. Yeah, he's come back like he fought one time in Australia and he's fighting all this stuff. But man, no, he's not the same. Like, no. Dude, and you just you saw someone just get decimated, but not only them get decimated, their whole career and your interest in that sport got decimated at the same time.
But Dana White was able to give the people something else to watch.
Dana White gives them something to watch because he announces the fight like maybe 6 months in advance, 4 months in advance, but in the meantime he's got to fight every month about some big heavy hitters.
Exactly.
And so it keeps you like warmed up.
Now, I mean, I've heard I don't know all the details. I've heard rumors that the fighters don't get compensated.
It's probably not the same because like you think
about they know what they're signing up for. Like
dude, sometimes I think about this. It's like, well, you buy into it. Like I went in my career, you went in your career knowing everything that it was about. Whether you loved it or not, you were like probably like, this is what I got right now. I'm just gonna take it. I'm just gonna do it. Sports a little different,
sure,
because you got to try out for it. You got to, you got to audition, or you got to get your head bashed in for a little bit, and then you're like, oh, is this what I really, really want to do? But those people that have made it through those stages and gotten to the point where there's actually a camera on them, they've obviously agreed to everything about it so far up into that point.
And
no one just shows up off the street and hey, you.
If you're gonna be a linebacker or a running back or something in the NFL, like, yeah, there's no guarantee you're gonna make it, but if you do make it, like. It's no fucking secret that you're going to take a beating. It's going to destroy your body, but you can make enough in 5 years to support yourself, your family, your extended family, all your friends.
Yeah.
With proper investments, you could support an entire fucking city for the rest of your life.
Think about it this way, too.
So people who get into it and then complain about shit, that pisses me off. Yeah. I'm like...
Think about this, like, people are like, and God bless them, this is the backbone of America, period. No argument about this. There are farmers, there are coal miners, there are dock workers, there are railway transportation people that really, really are the backbone of this country. And they know what they're getting into, right? It's labor. You have to lift heavy stuff. Your back hurts, I bet you. Your knees hurt. Your knees get shot. Your neck gets shot. You know what I mean? Like, your arms, your shoulder, your elbows, everything just hurts, okay? Yeah, you know what you're getting into. I don't think any single coal miner in West Virginia is going to be like, well...
No.
I don't know how much you make a year, but I guarantee you it's probably not as much as an NFL player per year. Okay.
No, but I mean, they make more than like average. I would assume.
I would assume, but here's what it is though too. If you're smart about it and you're like, it's just when you play the lottery, right? Do you want it in 26 annual payments? Do you want to work hard and get your busted back and get your busted head and have the potential of getting killed because you're working on an oil rig like out in the middle of the ocean? Do you want to get that over a 40-year career, or do you want to get it in 4 years because that's how long your NFL career lasts, quote unquote? Sure. And then are you smart about it though? Are you smart about it? Yeah, you broke your back. Well, guess what? My back hurts too, and I would say I do like labor work, but not anywhere close, not even in the same ballpark or field, anywhere even the same universe as like one of these backbone American people do.
You're compensated more than
I'm compensated more than most, but still, it doesn't mean that and trust me, I don't look that gift horse in the mouth. Like, trust me, I'm like, I'd love to have more. Sure,
yeah, but you know that you're your job you chose.
Yeah,
you're on your feet.
Yeah,
doing shit for 12 hours 3 times a week.
And roughly. I hate, and dude, trust me. And here's the biggest thing: I hate when other nurses like bitch, like, I live in Mississippi and I don't get paid nearly as much. Well, you're actively choosing to live in that area and to get paid that amount of money. You can actually go to New York or California or Seattle or Florida, not Florida, but you can go any other place and make more money. But if you choose to stay there, and if you choose to do that,
if I've learned anything from being friends with JB while he's living in Nashville, Tennessee. How much you make means jack shit. It's how much you make versus what the cost of living is in that city. Because there was a time when JB was making roughly half of what I was making.
But he's killing it.
But his money was going further than mine was, like way further than mine was.
Oh, dude.
Because the cost of living is just so much cheaper out there. So yeah, you may make 20% more than someone that lives in Mississippi, but the cost of living in Mississippi is like 40% of what yours is. So.
No, it's true. I'll give you that. I'll give you that too. But it's just a matter of like, if it's all about if it's all about the opportunity or getting some cheddar, there is some opportunity to get out there and do it. Yeah. But you're right. I don't like when people kind of put that drama associated with that too. But
no, it's like, let's get them better equipment so there's less concussions and all that shit. But at the same time, they're basically modern day gladiators. They're getting paid. They're going to make millions more than I'm going to make working for 50, 60 years in 4 or 5 years.
And dude, that not only
times 10.
They have luxuries. They have certain luxuries that come along with the job. I don't know what they are, but I would imagine they get fed, they get massages, they get a hot tub to kind of go into, they get a weight training center which they can just build. They get the best state of the art equipment. They get the state of the art trainers. I mean, if they get hurt, dude, if you get hurt, you go to employee health or something like that, or you go to some workman's comp. If they get hurt, they literally roll into the locker room and they get worked on. And it's just like, you get the best. And that's
like the difference between working in hospitals. Well, you work in a hospital.
Yeah.
The care that is given, and not that the care is, I mean, especially because at least where I have been, the West Coast, Southern California, whatever, care is good.
Sure.
We have good care here in San Diego. We have good care in Southern California. But the sense of urgency when someone comes in with an injury to say, the hospital you work at versus like the Navy hospital. Like, let's say a Navy SEAL comes in, But if
a Navy SEAL comes in...
If a Navy SEAL comes in with an injury, it's interesting because they want to get this guy healed and back out there.
That's an investment.
He's an investment.
That's
he's
an American investment.
An
American asset.
Same goes with, I can imagine when Ray Lewis got that tricep injury.
Oh.
An injury that, by the way, I think before him, nobody had ever actually come back full force from. Right. Not only was it took a lot of his own will, but also he was getting like the most ridiculous care and attention possible.
That's how it is, man. I mean, but like I said, I don't even know how we're kind of drifting on this subject. But one thing is that I'm really, really excited about the fact that people are willing to invest in our city.
Let's reel it back.
I know.
Let's go
and talk about aliens now. People are willing to invest.
Jade Helm 15.
But dude, people are willing to invest in our city, and not only that, it's entertainment for entertainment value, and not only that, it gives people more opportunities. It gives us more notoriety in a country. You know, like, oh, we're a great city. It puts our city on display.
Yeah,
and I love that, dude. I absolutely love that. And if I think about this too, I think about when people like leave, like in a boyfriend-girlfriend situation. When the girlfriend leaves, the boyfriend leaves, and like, okay, you have an opportunity to really, really kind of like bounce back, right? You can either go like, I'm devastated by this. This stinks. This hurts. This sucks. I'm getting worked on, or I'm devastated by this, and you can just kind of hide in your shell, or you have an opportunity to heal and grow and get stronger and be better. And like, I think that's what we're trying to do here. Yeah. I feel it. I generally feel it, and that's why. I mean, that's what this team and that's what everything else kind of represents more about this than anything else here. And so, yeah, once again, dude, get your tickets, man. Get your tickets.
You know, I totally agree. And it's the whole, we've talked about, I don't know how many times that, winning doesn't build character, losing builds character. It's not the actual losing. It's what you do with that loss or that failure. And I think, as a city, San Diego, for whatever reason, we failed. We lost the Chargers. So we could cry about it, or we could, hey, this is a cool opportunity. Yeah. It's something new. Let's jump on it. And I dig it. I'm super excited about this AAF.
And this is just a note for you Chargers out there, if you're ever listening, which I don't know. Obviously, of course, this is probably number one on their podcast list. Any Spanos person, bro, or whatnot. But just you left us, man, and that sucks because you had so many people that were willing to be down for you, and like they literally loved you throughout the shittiest times, right? You watered down your play. You took off a season. You took off the last season that you were here, but people still loved you. People still wore your stuff. Still, people bought your stuff.
You guys were a Super Bowl caliber team, like 3 years in a row back in like the early the early 2000s.
Yeah,
and you guys blew it,
and that's fine. People still loved you.
But I still loved you.
Your community
until you
still
left me.
Loved you. Mm-hmm. And then everyone loved you even when you got fat and out of shape and didn't put on any makeup and didn't do anything, just didn't care about yourself. We still loved you. We still supported you. And then when you left, you went off to bigger, better pastures of what you thought, and now you can't even sell out a soccer stadium. Like when you look around, you see everyone else's jerseys but your own. And those fans that are still supporting you, shame on you guys.
Yeah.
Like shame on you guys. Like you
still
guys
are enabling bad behavior.
You love the Chargers for what? Because they left you. They left your community.
Well, I kind of understand because I don't blame the players. I didn't hear a lot of player commentary when this was happening except for Phillip Rivers. I know Phillip Rivers didn't want to leave.
Yeah, but if I was Phillip Rivers, I know once again I'm not an athlete. I'm not in his position. But if I were him, I would have demanded a trade. I'd be like, you know what? I can't do this. I guess you could have done that. Honestly, I don't want to play for another team, but you're forcing my hand at this, so I mean, I'm going to have to. And I'd love to go back to wherever he's from, North Carolina or Texas, wherever he's from.
Yeah, he's a good old.
Just been like, hey,
he's a Southern boy. Yeah, I think it was North Carolina. Not what's the other school in North Carolina?
He went NC State.
UNC.
He played for NC State.
Yeah, okay.
He was there when I was there. But I would have demanded a trade, and it's like I said.
Yeah, I want to take me and my 17 kids. To some.
Or just keep them out here. You made plenty of money. Yeah. Once again, like for you Charger fans, shame on you. Like I understand if you love Junior Seau, that's Senor San Diego. Absolutely, go ahead, love Junior Seau, love all your past and present ones. LaDainian Tomlinson ? But like sometimes it's just like, dude, I don't know, man. Like how are you gonna support that? I know you've always loved the Chargers, but how can you support something that like did you dirty like that? And you're still gonna be
I supported a lot of bad decisions by the Chargers.
Dude, I mean, think about it. You were only. I did. It didn't matter what day you were rocking it. You always had a Charger shirt on. You always had like. Dude, I don't think you own a Padres anything. I think it's all Chargers everything.
Hold on.
Here we go. But to be honest with you, it's just like I don't know. It's tough, man. You know what? I was wrong. You own a Padres beanie, and I will tell you, it's very winter appropriate. And it's the old school Tony Gwynn. Sorry, the '90s Tony Gwynn logo, the white and orange, dude.
I do love Tony Gwynn, man.
Oh, dude, that was Senior. That was. Well, he's Mr. San Diego.
He's more San Diego than Junior even.
Well, I love Junior because I mean, one of them is Mr. San Diego and then the other one's Senor San Diego. That only makes sense, dude. You know? I guess
feel like Senor San Diego would be like the Latino one, but neither of them are Latino.
Well, Junior Seau is as close as we can get.
He's like Samoan, dude. What the fuck?
Well, whatever.
That's just racist, Steve.
I know. Well, hey, man.
All the Browns look the same.
Nah, I'm brown too.
No, you're yellow.
Well, now I am. I got my winter sheen on.
Why are Asian people called yellow?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's kind of a weird little thing.
Make any sense.
That's racist. Okay, no, I guess there were so many colors that they had to choose from. I mean, brown. Okay, I could see how maybe there's more of a brown skin tone to maybe Latin American or Latin people or Mexican people, and then black. I can obviously see the darker pigmentation in African Americans or African people.
Maybe like and red white for the Indians. Maybe they were sunburned a lot. I don't know.
Maybe they had a more maroonish tone or maroonish tint. Maybe Asian people, yellow people. Like I mean, obviously I'm tan because I live out here, but that probably kind of washes away. But if I didn't have it, I'd probably be pretty pale, and maybe that's the only hue that you can kind of go to, you know?
I just think it's weird.
You're not going to be blue or else you're dead, you know? You can't be green or else you're sick, like really sick.
I still think it's weird.
Purple, it's like, oh, you're beyond dead. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, purple.
You know? So what are you going to
do? We found a floater.
Yeah. Purple and black. You mean Baltimore Ravens? No. But anyways, enough about sports talk. I got to be honest with you. If you are down for if you're down for just to go reinvest back in the community at such a bargain basement price for entertainment,
I'm down.
And not only that, tailgating, baby.
I'm down. Steven, you got 2 season tickets.
Yes, I do.
I'm going to buy 2 more season tickets.
That makes 4. I've done the math.
That means we have 4.
You can invite whoever. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That means we can bring 2 guests with us.
Yep.
Or Steve and I can just leave 2 seats empty and sit next to each other.
Damn.
Depending on the game.
Or we can go ahead and raffle some of these off to any of the sweet listeners. Oh, yeah.
That is a good idea.
That's what I'm talking about.
So if we start engaging in social media, which we should start here soon, if you also engage with us in social media, I think...
You also?
I think we're gonna raffle. We're gonna give away some tickets.
Ooh, look at that! We've turned into
If we could find a sponsor or two, maybe we'll start doing some swag bags.
Ooh, I don't even know. Well, that'd be kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we swaggeroo. But yeah.
First and foremost, I'd like to find like a digital graphics kind of a sponsor that would print some shirts and some hats and some stickers, just our logos and shit.
Damn, that'd be kind of fun.
Give away some of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Short of the long, man, listeners, there are benefits to listening to the project. Okay.
Well, there's a good amount of people listening.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying there are benefits.
But I would say we'd like some more engagement, but then again, we're not engaged.
Yeah.
I mean, we are, but we're not. We're busy. Sorry, guys, but hey, we're working on it. We doesn't mean we don't appreciate y'all. Doesn't mean we don't appreciate y'all. All right, that's enough of that. Let's find out where Jables is.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.
I'm joined by director, filmmaker, and founder of the new Alliance of American Football, Charlie Ebersol. So great to have you here today. There's a lot of football out there. Between the NFL, we've got college, we've got the Arena League, we had the XFL. Why do we need another football league?
I think what people miss in how big a deal football is when they talk about declining ratings and other things like this is how big the gulf is between professional football and the other 4 major sports. If you put the ratings of the 4 other major sports together, you'd have to multiply them by 6 to get to the total rating of a single professional NFL game. So we looked at that and said, okay, any other business, if it had that level of dominance but did not operate for 6 months of the year, somebody would come into that space and do it. So we started asking, why not? And the big answer was nobody in the last quarter century had put quality football on the field by real football people. And so with my co-founder, Bill Polian, we said, okay, let's see what we can do. Now the response internally, we've been in secret for a year and a half, but the response within the football community was overwhelming. We're excited next month to start rolling out our head coaches in cities, because when you start to see the level of names that are involved in this, you'll begin to realize that this is something that I think has a long-term viability.
Do you see this more as a Big 3 league or a G League, if you're comparing it to the NBA?
I wouldn't compare it to either. The G League is wholly owned by the NBA and is really a developmental league. They are there almost entirely to get people there. And I wouldn't compare it to Big 3 because Big 3 is a traveling show. I mean, it's so much fun to watch and they've got great personalities, but ultimately that is a house show. They're going city to city. This is a fully functional league. This is a fully funded and built business model that is meant to bring football to cities from February to April where they can see quality football. Now, if we can find the next Kurt Warner, which we believe we're going to do, or Victor Cruz, or all these guys who went undrafted in the NFL who were really good players, that's a highlight for us. And by the way, if one of our players ends up going to the NFL after our league and winning a Super Bowl and a league MVP and a Super Bowl MVP like Kurt did, that's a phenomenal situation. Opportunity is what both the United States is founded on, but also what sports is all about. Oftentimes the greatest players, we don't know where they're going to come from, and they get looked over because of all these modalities that we think are important that really aren't. Think about the number of players that didn't go or weren't invited to the combine that end up being the best players. The best quarterback of all time by almost any measurement was the 199th pick in the NFL draft, right? So who are the guys that aren't even getting drafted at all? I think that you'll see that the quality of play is there.
I know you were here with us about a year ago and you mentioned the question was posed about an NFL D-League and you said, oh, it's going to happen. If the opportunity arose for that to be your league, is that something you'd be interested in if the NFL reached out to you about it?
The need for a secondary league in professional football is, in our view, very clear, right? But the other side of it is I don't look at it so much as an NFL D-League or developmental league. What I look at it as is, think about professional soccer in the world, globally, right? Players move from country to country and league to league all the time. The guys that play in the Premier League and the guys that play in the MLS, it's not necessarily a competitive situation. You've got players that move in both directions because you create quality situations in both places.
Well, I know one of the things that you're also doing is providing scholarships for players. And so that immediately made me think of, why would a player go to college if they could play for you, get a scholarship, get paid? Would you be open to taking high schoolers?
No. We feel really strongly about the need for both safety and physical development. One of the things that I think has been lost in the debate about the NCAA, and there's certainly a lot of conversation that needs to be had about the NCAA and what that situation is, but what I do think you have to focus on is, I don't want to see a 17-year-old kid get hit by a 35-year-old man or a 25-year-old man. That's the development, particularly of the brain and the body, is not such that that's a good idea. Now, with that being said, what we're focusing on in terms of scholarships is, it's not just higher education. It's not just giving people an English degree, right? What we see is that when you look at players like Justin Tuck and you look at players like Hines Ward and Troy Polamalu, these are all guys who, after they got out of college, they went after some form of vocational training. In Justin's case, he's getting his MBA from Wharton, but from other guys, they went and became welders, or they became lawyers, or those are things that can be done after you're done playing football. Because I think one of the great stresses of really all Americans' lives is financial awareness and education, and what am I going to do next in terms of jobs. For a football player, they pour everything they have into being a football player. So how do we reward them to enhance their lives after the game? It's really important to us.
I'm just thinking about the NFL and college football and talking to athletes. There's this mentality that those things will use them up and spit them out. And like you said, good luck with the rest of your life. You're investing in the core problems that people have. I know head injuries is another. Preventing head injuries is another thing you guys are focused on with some of the rule changes you guys have.
Yeah, that's right. So in terms of investing in the players, our view is, wouldn't it be great if the players come out of our league, they turn around and they invest in their own communities? This is something that I think is a cultural requirement of a new professional league. If we're going to change the paradigm, the average age of the majority of the people in my organization is sub 40. So if we're going to look at this millennial version, I don't know that I'm allowed to call myself a millennial, if we're allowed to look at ourselves as a younger version and what the new version is, then we need to think about what the larger cultural impact is. I also will say, and so in terms of head health, I am not a brain expert. Neither is Bill Polian or Justin Tuck or anyone else in my organization, which is why we are putting together a completely separate organization that will actually write our protocols and will police our protocols. Because honestly, it should not be people who are profiting off of the business who are making determinations about medical health and safety.
So I know you guys are launching February 2019, a week after the Super Bowl, a year before the XFL launches. Was a part of your plan to beat the XFL to the punch here?
No. We started doing this almost a year and change before Vince announced anything. In fact, when we did the film, we had already, before the film came out, we'd already really started the process. Part of it was CBS. Our internal agreement was we wouldn't launch until we were ready. because that's what the whole film is about. This was the XFL. Right. It was entirely about, they announced and launched a year later. We're not announcing and launching a year later. We're announcing because we've been doing it for a year and a half, and now we're going to launch a year later. So it's 2.5 years of development to get to kickoff. That's one. Two, CBS has the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl airs on CBS, and the next week on CBS, our game airs. And so we believe that there's a lot of value in that consistency and showing the flow of football, because as is said often, it truly is the saddest Sunday in America. So we should start looking at that weekend as an opportunity to bring fans back in.
I was going to say, I always wake up that next Monday so sad that I have to wait all this time. You've completely solved my problem and the problem of many Americans, I'm sure, so we appreciate that.
We're here to help.
Yeah, so you talk about that documentary you made about the XFL. I'm sure you learned so much about so many different things. Did you learn anything about maybe what not to do in making your league?
I think what we learned, not just with that film, but with 6 months of research with everyone from football experts to former coaches to Hall of Famers to executives, both at the NFL and NCAA level, was football, 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 football. That's what matters. You have to put quality football on the field. You have to put real quality football. And to do that, you have to have real football people. And that it's not about marketing and it's not about all the other stuff. That if you're going to put a 10-year plan together, you have to put something together that is entirely based around quality product.
All right, so I want to go back to what you said about how impressed we're going to be with some of the names of the people involved, some of the coaches. Are we going to see any Pro Bowlers?
You're going to see coaches who have made their names as champions, and they're going to be very impressive. Here's what I'd say differently. When I was young, my dad always told me that if you have a good story, break it up into many pieces and dole it out. So I'm not going to go too far down the path, but here's what I'd tell you is, if you were impressed by the people we put on stage yesterday in terms of who is building our league, you're going to be equally or more impressed by the people we're putting on the field as head coaches. Because great begets great. And my goal was just to put great people there, because I am not a football expert. Just like I'm not a medical expert, I'm also not a football expert. In my view, my goal is to put the best people I possibly can. I'm the general manager of a team. Let me just put the best people on the field and let them do what they do and create a space in which they're able to do it. That's the other thing, is the absurdity of startup leagues in general is that they're built so they're like, you have to be successful day one. So all this pressure is put on something that's unrealistic. Nobody else does that, right? You build franchises over years. It took Bill almost 2 full years to get the Carolina Panthers from 0 to the NCAA, the National Conference Championship.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly looking forward to seeing where those teams are going to be, who's going to be involved. That's a great cliffhanger to end on. It sounds like a really, really interesting and inventive league, and I'm really excited to watch it. So, Charlie, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.